Hi, this is Gayle with BERNINA of Naperville, and you know what? It is time to go on those road trips before the summer ends, and there's nothing more annoying than not having something to organize those things for you. So I looked around and I found a free pattern online that I think you're gonna love, and I think you're gonna love our beachy summer themed fabric this month. So before we dig into this, I just wanted to take a minute and ask you a question. Do you ever just have those moments where no matter what you do, you sew things together wrong? Well, we sort of had that experience this month, and as you watch this video, I want you to just remember to not do what I do necessarily. Now, don't forget that you're going to get your handout in the description of this video or on our Bernina of Naperville website that under Fat Quarter Club, because I have altered this free pattern just a little bit from the original. Now also in that handout is going to be the link to all of the supplies you're going to need, and also a link to the free pattern. Now you will have to give this company your email address and your name, but all they're going to do is email you the free thing. So enough talking, let's get started on it. So this month I've gone with a little bit of a beachy theme here for our Fat Quarter of the Month Club, and I was like, what can we make? And I spent a lot of time in my car recently, and you know, with Bonaparte and everything, I feel like there's always something to throw away or something that I need to carry with me that I don't normally have. So I was looking around online for a free pattern, and I came across this car trash can by More Me Know. And first of all, the fabric that she used for hers is Golden Girls fabric, just so you know. I think that's from Spoonflower, but I just thought it was funny. So what I like about this project is that you don't have to put any boning in the opening here. It doesn't require a whole lot of extras. I am gonna put like a little clamp buckle here so that I can just quickly put it on and off in my car rather than trying to squeeze my headrest off or whatever. But I'll show you that obviously in the video. But what I like about this is you can put it in the back seat if you had like kids and you want to carry toys or whatever. Obviously it could also be for trash, or if you're somebody like me that most of the time when I'm in the car, if Bonaparte's not with me, I'm by myself, so you can flip that around to be in the passenger seat. So let's just distribute our fat quarters to make it work for this pattern. So the first thing that I want to do is pair up the fabrics that I want to use for the lining and the fabrics that I want to use for the outer bag. So I have more basic kind of fabrics right here. So these I want to kind of keep for most of the linings. For the exterior of the bag, I kind of want to play around with these guys. So first of all, I'm going to take my human bathers and pair those with my cat bathers. Then for the strap that's going to go around the car, I'm going to use flamingos. I have to alter the pattern just a little bit because the pattern calls for half yards. So I'm just going to have, in the lining, I'm going to have half of the top of the linings be one fabric, and then on the bottom, and I'm going to repeat the same thing for the bottom. So let's cut those pieces. So for your main pieces, these are going to be my outer main pieces. I've cut this 7.5 inches by 13 inches because I'm deciding to go for a long, narrower wastebasket rather than the shorter, wider one. And per the instructions, you can do either way. But this is the way that I'm going to do it. And I'm going to put my little cats on the top and my human ladies on the bottom. Then for the lining, I'm going to do dark on top and light on the bottom. So basically, there's two pieces here, two pieces here. So there's two 7.5 by 13 inch pieces that I'm going to sew in pairs, press my seam open. And just a little word of caution, I want this trash basket to kind of sit up nicely in the car. I don't want it to be super floppy. So I'm going to put SF 101 or fusible woven, whichever brand you prefer, on the wrong side of all 8 pieces. So that's the lining pieces and the outer pieces. And then I'm going to stitch them together. So sewing these together, very easy. All of our seams are going to be 1/4 inch seam allowance. I've got the number 97 foot on. I'm not using the dual feed this month, and I'm using my 770 plus. And I'm just chain piecing these together, easy peasy like. And I probably need to trim some of my SF 101. I didn't cut it exactly accurately, so I'll trim that after I piece it together. We're just making sure that, you know, with our fat quarters, we didn't have pieces that were big enough to make a front and back of the bag. So that's why we're doing this extra little seaming here. But you know what? I think it makes your project a little bit more your own, you know? And then we're just going to press those seams open that we created. Once you determine what the bottom is going to be on your lining pieces, and in my case, it's going to be the lighter one so I can see, you know, what's down in the bag. And on the outer piece, it's going to be my little bathing beauties here. So once you determine that, you're going to take the pattern, and there's a piece right here that says cut from the bottom corners on exterior and lining. We're going to trim this out. It's actually just 2 inches by 2 inches, and you're going to cut those corner pieces out of the corners. And then if you want to use this like a template, I usually spray a little bit of adhesive on the back so I can just stick it and cut it out. I'm doing 2 at a time this time. I'm getting impatient. So now we're going to take our outsides and line them up perfectly and stitch down each side and across this piece here using 1/4 inch seam allowance. And when you stitch these together, make sure you line up your seams here so it matches. And you can pin. I'm just going to hold it with my finger. Once again, just a reminder, 1/4 inch seam allowance. And you probably are going to want to do like 5 stitches forward, 5 stitches backwards for like a back tack. And then you're going to back tack when you get to the end as well. And look, I didn't cut this perfectly evenly. I was in a rush. Don't worry, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. You're going to grab your pearls, but I apologize. We're still going to have a lovely little trash can. Look at this. Have you ever seen such a brutal thing in your entire life? There we go. No one needs to know that that was a problem. Now let's repeat that for the other side. Also making sure you match up your pieces there. And then finally, we're going to do the bottom. And the bottom is just the same way. Now we're going to do the same thing with the lining piece, but there's one special thing we have to do to the bottom. So I'm going to show that to you first. We're going to line the bottom pieces up together. You know, those are the ones that we've cut those 2 2-inch bits out of. And we're gonna do our 1/4-inch seam with our back tack. But then when we get about 2 inches in, and did you know 2 inches is from the needle to your free arm here, that, you know, to where the table attaches on your Bernina 7 and 8 series? Well, anyway, now you do. And now we're gonna back up and cut. Then I'm gonna flip it over this way, and I'm gonna do the same thing, starting here, 1/4 inch with a back tack, and then I'm gonna stitch until the edge of that piece is right up against my free arm where it attaches. Then I'm gonna back tack and cut. And now I'll just sew the side pieces together like I sewed the ones on our main fabric. And I know some of you out there might be wondering why I'm not using stitch number 5, which is an automatic back tack feature. Well, I don't really have a good answer for you. I guess I'm just so used to using stitch number 1, but there wouldn't be anybody else out there like that, would there? We know that straight stitch is the stitch number 1. Well, this back tacking stitch is really easy. You just select stitch number 5, and it's stitch number 5 on most Berninas, even the old ones. And when I stitch, I can hold all of my fabric in place, and look at that. It tacked automatically for me, and I never had to take my hands off of my work. So now as I stitch and get over my little hump there and get to the end here, I go right to the very, very edge, and my machine screen is actually flashing for me to press that quick reverse button, because that is what tells it, okay, I've ended my stitch and I want to go backwards now. So then it goes backwards, forwards, and then goes slowly and comes to a full stop where we can cut. Now we're going to box the bottom of the bag. So we have our lining and our outside piece, and that's why that notch was cut. So the way that this works, and what I do at this point, is I'll fold one seam one way and one seam another way. And this is just so we can kind of, I call it snuggle butting those little pieces together like that. And then we're gonna pinch. And hold that together. And then, you know, I found this pin on the floor, so I figured I better use it before Mr. Bonaparte got a hold of it. But we're gonna pin like that, and then this is gonna create a little boxed corner. So we're gonna stitch, and I have that stitch number 5 on here, so I don't have to touch my quick reverse button. I can just stitch. It's gonna go backwards automatically, and now forward. I'm gonna stop and pull that pin out. The little quick reverse button is flashing on my screen. I hit the button and held it. You don't do that, you just have to press it. Silly me, it's a good thing there's 3 more of these to do. You know what the problem is? It's muscle memory, and you can't teach an old sewist new tricks, or can you? Is there something that you've learned recently that you're like, I can't believe I've been sewing for 10, 20, 30 years and you didn't know this before? I learn something new every day. All right, so here we go again. So you stitch, it goes backwards on you automatically. Now I'm gonna get to the very end. I'm gonna stop, I'm gonna press the button only, and now we go backwards and it stops and we cut. If you've seen any of our videos on the new 790 Pro, the funniest thing that I keep doing in those videos is that machine has a fully automatic needle threader, but because it looks like a 7 series, I think I have to push the little needle threader down like this, right? So I will be like, let me show you everybody how to thread this machine. I am the expert. And then I have like this phantom clicking finger that I do with it. All right, on with program. Okay, I'm gonna do 2 more boxed pieces, and then I'll meet you back at the design table. Okay, so here is our pattern piece that we are going to need for our straps. We're also going to cut fusible woven from this as well. But first I'm just cutting so that we can tape our pieces together. Okay. And then I have like this little tape piece that I'm going to add tape to this side. There we go. And then we're going to tape the A to the A like this. And then I reserved my flamingos and this piece, and then I'm going to do one, I'm going to cut one from the flamingos and one from this dark blue. So off camera, I've sprayed the backside of my pattern piece with the 505 spray to make it sticky. And then I'm going to fold this in half. And I've got both of my pieces together, the dark piece and the flamingos. And I want to make sure that this is the top, the skinnier end is the top of this. So what I want to do is make sure my flamingos are facing in the right direction. And then I'm going to place this on the fold, just like that. Isn't that lovely? Do you see something wrong with this picture? That's the fold, not this. Don't do what I did. All right, this looks a little bit better, ladies and gentlemen. Do you like it when I make these little mistakes so that you don't? Okay, so now we've got flamingos are going up the right direction here to the skinny end, and our fold is actually on the fold, and I can save my little selvage edge there for another project that I can't wait to show you, and we're gonna cut. You know, sometimes I would use a rotary cutter, but you know, this is one of those projects where I'm at a different table than I normally am. And I just thought, you know what, we can cut this out with scissors, right? There we go. Okay, okay. So now let's fold these open. And there's one piece, and there's my other. And I'm just gonna add the fusible woven onto the back and fuse it down, and I'll show you how we're gonna sew this together. Okay, once we have our fusible woven on there, on both pieces, you're also gonna take a scrap of any of your fat quarters, you have enough, and you're gonna do a 3" by 7.5" strip. You're gonna do 2 of them, like this, and you're gonna fuse some extra fusible woven in the middle. So whatever you cut of this, the 3" by 7.5", you're gonna need fusible woven 3" by 7.5. Then you fold to the center and fold again, and that creates a strip. Here is our little buckle. I call this a dog collar buckle or a plastic buckle. We sell them at the store. And this is gonna be how you attach your trash bag to your headrest. So all we're gonna do is just top stitch this quickly down each side to hold it in place. So I'm gonna switch my foot to my 10C foot. And then I'm just gonna move my needle position 3 clicks to the right. And then I'm ready to stitch. So I'm gonna just start with the open edge here, get it under the foot. Look at that, I should have moved my needle position 3 clicks to the left. Now we're ready to stitch. And I'm lining up my little folded edges along the center guide. And I forgot to change stitches, so I'm going to be doing that automatic tacking at the beginning and the end, but honestly, that's not necessary on this particular piece, but you know what, maybe we just need some practice at using that stitch. So we're gonna then do the other side. And just repeat for the other strap. Okay, so now we have our two pieces and our buckle. And at this point you can temporarily take the buckle apart, but I like to leave it together so I make sure I've got it right side up. It slightly curves to the right side. So we're gonna feed our strap through here. And I am just gonna feed it through just like this. This is my little added piece here that we're doing. And I'm gonna just temporarily pin this. And I'm gonna repeat for the other side. And the other side, it goes up through here and down through here. There we go. So I'm not making this adjustable. So don't, I mean, if you wanna make it adjustable, it would require an extra piece. I'm not doing that one in this video. Okay, so there's this. And then what we're gonna do is put one side through here like this, making sure that it's right side up. And then I'm gonna pin it in there like that. And I'm putting it right side up. Hang on, I gotta wiggle it into position here. Putting it right in the center of this strap. And then I'm gonna take my other piece and move it around like this. And I'm doing this to make sure that I'm getting them just right. There we go. And now I can unhook them. There we go. Now I know it's right. Then this is what I want to be on my outer side or the right side of this. So now I'm going to put this into place. Get that sandwiched in there like that. Same here. And now carefully pin, and we're gonna stitch all the way down this side, all the way down this side. Then we're gonna stitch, pivot, stitch, but leave the opening at the bottom for turning. I've returned to my 97 foot, and I am still on my number 5 foot, but I moved that needle position back to the center, and I told my machine that I have my 97 foot on. So I'm just gonna carefully go up this side. Now it might be a little bit weird as I get to that buckle that's under here. So you just kind of wanna push it aside. Don't let it bug you. And I'm going just a little bit wider here at the top, like about a 1/2 inch rather than a 1/4 inch. And I'm gonna stitch, removing these pins, you know, we don't wanna have, I don't wanna have an eye accident. Okay, so now I'm gonna just back up. And then I'm just gonna come back here and stitch this again. Just to kind of secure it a little bit further. Get some extra cushion in there. I'm gonna cut that with my seam ripper. There we go. There we go. Now go to that 1/4 inch and turn. Probably move our pins out of the way. You know, you don't want to drop them down that little hole. It is not a pin chute. Okay, moving the buckle out of my way. As I get down to here. And then the 1/4 inch feet have little notches on them. A 1/4 inch before the needle, at the needle, and a 1/4 inch behind the needle. And that's gonna help us as we pivot around this corner down here. So I'm gonna go, there I am at the needle. Now I'm gonna go to the notch behind the needle and turn. I probably overshot it a little bit, but that's okay. I'm gonna do this one a little deeper then. Remember, this is not precision work here. Okay, so once again, I did it a little wrong the last time, so we're gonna go until that line is right here at this notch. There we go. Pivot. Get our things wiggled into position properly. There we go. There, that's better. And now I'm going to go all the way up here, pulling that pin out. And remember, on this one, I did it about 1/2 inch rather than 1/4 inch. There we go. Pull our pins. I'm gonna do my reverse there like that. And then I'm just gonna turn it over and double stitch this. And now I'm going to turn it over, move our buckle out of the way, and stitch 1/4 inch. Move our buckle. There we go. And now continue all the way to the bottom, but don't sew the bottom closed. You will not be able to turn your piece inside out. And I'm going to cut. And then I have a pair of small scissors that I'm going to use to cut or clip these little concave pieces here. And you want to clip right up to the thread, but don't cut the thread. That'll make this open up nice and flat when we turn it inside out and press. There we go. And then you could also eliminate some of the bulk off of the corners here of this. There we go. Oop, I just got pins stuck to everything over here. All right, let's turn it inside out and press. The only thing I want to do is remove my patchwork foot, number 97, put my 10C edge stitch foot on again, change my foot back to 10C, move my needle position 3 notches to the left this time, that's this direction. And now, dun dun dun, we're gonna top stitch around this, everywhere, even the bottom to hold it together. And I still have stitch number 5, so it's automatically tacking. It's only 1 more seam and 2 more seams. 2 more seams. We can do this. We're going to go over to the drawing board. I'm going to show you how to pin everything together. Okay, so now we have our piece that we top stitched, and don't forget that the right side are my flamingos. We have a lining piece that has the little opening that we left, and we have our outer piece. So we're going to take our lining and turn it out, or pretty side out, and we're going to insert it inside our main bag. And it just is going to look like this. Then we're going to find the center of our bag, and I did it by just folding it in half and pinching it and putting a pin. And then because this is the pretty side and this is the outer side, I'm going to fold this in half to find the center, and I can just squeeze that together to find the center. Then we're going to take that center, line it up with the pin, flamingos and cats living happily ever after. Then we're going to shove this in the bag, and we're going to pin And we're gonna find the center of our lining back here. Like this. Line that up with our other pin. And now pin all of that together, and now distribute all of our bag together. And so using your 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch seam allowance, whatever you prefer, because this is not a precise project. I think the instructions actually have you use a 1/2 inch seam allowance, so you're fine doing 1/2 inch. I just happen to use a 1/4 inch because my brain, you know. And then we'll take this over to the machine, and I'm going to switch back to a straight stitch without that extra tacking, because we can just go around the bag and over sew where we start. Some of you might be asking, Gayle, shouldn't you be using the free arm system to do this? And probably, but in my setup right now with my old cabinet, which is going to change soon, but it's just not as easy to do that because I've got this down in a cabinet, and it's a really tiny hole for this large machine, and you know, we all sew in different ways, but this might be a good opportunity for you to sew with the free arm exposed so that you won't have to like have all these pins poking you as you're stitching. And now I get back to where I started and just stitch over that original line. Okay, so I sewed it. You saw that happen, right? So now I'm just grabbing inside my hand down in the lining, and I'm turning the whole thing inside out through that hole that we left. Open all of this up, make it nice and pretty, get it flat, press it with the iron, and then top stitch this all the way around, as well as my little piece down there. Okay, so here's our finished bag, and you know, I don't try to do any tomfoolery for you here when I make something, and sometimes, you know, things go awry. So my apologies, because I spent so much time earlier in the video showing you that this was going to be the right side, and we wanted our little guy to curl nicely here with this clasp. But you see what I did there? The flamingos should have actually been against the lining here. So I don't care. This looks really cute in my car. Bonaparte doesn't care. We're hitting the beach in just a minute. But just wanted to let you know that you need to be even more careful than I was, you know, making this bit, but you have to really pay attention to what side you are. The right side is actually this side of the bag, so that when it hangs in your car, that's the trash. Okay? So don't do like me. Learn from my mistake. All right, so what do you think, huh? It's pretty cute. Bonaparte doesn't care that I flipped some of the fabric around there. And, you know, I'm just happy to have something that I can, you know, keep some extra doggy bags in, a little towel for him, or maybe his cooling pad. And you might be excited to have a little trash can or a toy box for the kids. So I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial, and you will continue to participate in our Fat Quarter Club because it's pretty easy. All you have to do is go to BERNINA of Naperville.com, find our Fat Quarter of the Month Club, then select it, and then you're going to get 6 fat quarters wrapped up with a little BERNINA of Naperville ribbon once a month. Now here's the drill. If you like purchase something on July 15th, the next time your subscription renews, your invoice is going to come on the 16th. because it's always 30 days in between. That's number one. And then number two, there's no obligation to do this every month. You can sign up 1 month and that's it. And then, you will get an invoice for the following month, but it's not like we automatic take it off of your credit card. We leave it up to you whether or not you want to buy it or not. So we hope that that works really well for you and that you enjoy this program. So with that said, the last thing you're not going to forget is to check us out on our Bernina of Naperville YouTube channel. It's easy. It's youtube.com/Bernina of Naperville, and there you can like, comment, and subscribe. Now, come on, Bonaparte. It's time to go to the beach. Bonaparte. No, don't eat that. Oh, stop.